Hey everybody, welcome to this Elite BBQ Smokers, our live stream. Co-host Justin with Holt Brothers BBQ. We got a great group of guests today that's going to be able to tell you some backstories about that. Also, congratulations to the finishes they've done. So with all that being stated, we're going to start introducing everybody. Mr. Mike, introduce yourself first.
Hey, I'm Mike Davis. I'm from Columbus, Mississippi, and my team's the BeerBQ Boys.
Mr. Richard, introduce yourself, boss man.
Yeah, Richard Fergola, otherwise known as Fergie, Fergolicious BBQ out of Gardner, Kansas.
And Rooters-n-Tooters is trying to get in here. I think we've got a little bit of some internet issues. We're going to be trying them here.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
Man, I normally don't have too many issues, but it was freaking out, so I had to borrow Lynn's device here.
Well, I'm glad I got you on the show. So, Mr. Paul, while you're right here, up next. Introduce yourself, your team name.
Yes, I am Paul Keltner with Rooters-n-Tooters. I am half of the team. My wife is the other half, Lynn Keltner, and I apologize. She's got her flu shot this week and not feeling very well today. So you got the more boring half being me.
Neither one of y'all are bored, man. Y'all are neither one bored. It was a pleasure sitting beside you this weekend here in Shelby, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah, it was a good contest. We had a good time. It was a lot of good contests. I think for me and Richard here, I think was hoping a little better results. But I did get ribs, so I can't argue with nothing with that. But Mr. Paul right here, one day won, and congratulations with that. But before we get into y'all two, because y'all two got a lot more to talk about with y'all whole team of the year stuff and everything else, we got to talk with Mr. Mike right here. So, Mr. Mike, tell us about this contest and tell that you won. Tell us a little bit of history about this contest, because this is a very old contest, if I understand correctly.
Yes, it's the Roast and Boast, or it used to be called the Possum Town Pig Fest, and it's been going since 1982. So this was actually the 40th anniversary coming into this. And what made it really special for me is that my dad, when it first started out, was one of the first cookers at the Possum Town Pig Fest. He was part of his corporate. The company that he worked for had a barbecue team, as a lot of probably the early barbecue contest were local, where the local business people put things together. And so we've been very blessed here in our area to have something going on like that for a long period of time. He cooked in that for many years, but when he retired from that, I was able to convince him when I moved back into town to join the barbecue team with me, and we've been cooking since about 2010.
So you and your dad have been cooking together since 2010.
We have, along with my dad, Eugene Davis, my wife, Chris Davis, and his wife, Betty Sue Davis, and then Amber Henson cooks with us also. So we have a real nice team. We've been cooking since 2010. Actually, we started off with the Roast and Boast, where we were able to come back and win this past weekend. So that was quite an honor. It was our second grand, which, was really a surprise. But we've been working hard towards things. We haven't been able to cook as much the past 3 years because of my father's age and the COVID and everything else that's been going on. And I know that's affected a lot of contests. But 2010, we started cooking. We started using some of our own recipes and things. 2013, we ran backyard, and that contest, it said if you do that, you have to go pro. So we went pro the next year, and then we started just cooking around a little bit. And like everybody else in barbecue, you're either going to pay through your experience and your practice, and that's a lot of meat and a lot of seasoning and sauces, or you're going to take a few classes. And I think the classes are great because they're great shortcuts, or at least you can take your own recipes and kind of mold them together with what you learn in those classes. And every time we did that, we improved. And so we kept improving. And then 2017 and 18, we probably did about 8 to 10 contests a year that year, and did that. And in 19, we won the grand. And then, unfortunately, like I said, COVID kind of shut us down the past 2 years. But it was nice to get back out there. We've been playing around with little rib contests and things like that this year, just to keep us active and involved. But being able to get back out there and cook at the Roast and Boast. And it was a good turnout. There's about 30 teams total. We had, it's nice for the community. It's nice for the organization. And I just hope that we can continue to do it for many years to come.
Yeah, I thought Miss Amber and just kind of just bounce some ideas off of her, and I hope she can grow it because it's like I said, it's an old contest, and I love the old history contest to keep going. That's something
we have some unique features of this contest. We have a lot of the local teams have booths that are built in that stay there year round.
What?
So you can come hang out at a booth, and they got, not that this means anything, and you can probably guess by my name, the name of my team is a part of our team, but you have a nice little bar there. You can sit back and hang out with the locals on a Friday night and enjoy yourself. So it's a real fun contest to come in, and it's just real laid back and nice. And the locals are very welcoming to bring you in and feed you and have a good time and try to sauce you up so that you don't cook so well tomorrow and they have a chance to beat you. You know how that goes.
I think a lot of people try that at a lot of different contests.
I think they do too.
I just don't think a lot of people admit it, but I think a lot of people try that.
They try.
So Paul, we'll get to Richard because he had one last week and a big one here. But Paul, you was doing the Shelby contest, which again, it's an old contest that Noah's kind of brought back out and doing the Shelby contest and bringing it back to life and stuff. And he's doing a really good job for it. Really enjoyed the contest. But day one, you were able to finish very well in that. So talk us a little bit about that experience and everything else. You did pretty good there last year too.
Yeah, I think last year was our first year doing Shelby, and we did pretty well there last year and was hoping to kind of have something similar happen, and we got lucky and that happened again. But when you go into those last weekend of Team of the Year points, you're trying your best, that's your last shot. And when you're going through the whole year, you're thinking to yourself, it's never going to end. You're never going to kind of see the end of it, but it's amazing how fast it sneaks up on you, no matter how tired you are, no matter how many contests you cook. When Shelby was over with, it was kind of weird feeling that chase was over with for the 2022 season. But yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good cook. We nothing was terrible on that first day, and we thought we was able to pull out some decent pieces there. And but you just never know. The worst thing I found, what hurts me the most deep down is when I think I've got something spectacular, and then I'm shown really quickly that it's not where I had that on day two. On day two, I thought it was probably one of the better briskets we've done all year. And I mean, it got a call, but still it didn't score as high as what I was hoping. And it hurt. It hurt because you know how good it was, but you didn't get rewarded for it. So those are the ones so I've learned over the years to try to tone down my expectations a little bit. And I fare better throughout the season doing that. But hey, we were set up next to you, and that was always fun. Every time I sit up next to you, I get a little pointer, and it works out well for me every time. And so I enjoy being next to you, Jason. You make me better, Jason.
Well, I told you I'm going to be your test cook. That's what I'm really good at, testing out techniques, testing out recipes, and just throwing wild cards to see what happens. And it's the craziest thing in the world, but we didn't have the best cook across the board. Day two, I told you, day two, I wasn't impressed with nothing I had except for ribs. And ribs on day one I thought were good. But this entire year, it's just been, I think, kind of getting into it is we started out slow. And so when we started out slow, we're trying to figure out, okay, what we need to do to make hit, what we need to do to hit. So every time we go do a contest, and we didn't do a bunch of back-to-back, we never could kind of get in the rhythm of what would work and that would help us kind of keep going up the chain. So we've had a great year. I've said this before. I do this for Barbecue Church. I do this for the fellowship and stuff here. I enjoy competing, but winning is not my goal. If it was, I'd quit a long time ago. I do want to win. Don't get me wrong. That is a goal, but it's not the goal for me. But anyhow, yeah, I appreciate it. I love sitting beside you. We've done it a few times, and it's always a fun relaxing time to do, and we have a good time aggravating each other.
Yeah.
Now, Richard, I know we were talking about Shelby here, and before we talk about the Shelby contest done this weekend, let's back up a week on you. So let's back up on your experience last week and tell us kind of contest you were at and kind of go through that process with that.
Yeah, we were there in Roswell, Georgia at the Royal Oak Invitational. It was the 3rd annual, and this was our 2nd time doing it. We were unable to make the first one, and I'll tell you, the Royal Oak Invitational is, and Paul will back me up on this, it is out of this world awesome. They roll out the red carpet for the Royal Oak teams, and the prize pool is as good as the American Royal. I mean, it's big time. I mean, you never go hungry. You got anything you need, they take care of it for you. And they're such a great sponsor, a great organization to work with. The people there, they understand barbecue. I've been fortunate enough to be an ambassador for them now for probably going on. This is my 5th or 6th year. And just in a group of such great barbecue minds that have helped, propel that brand forward. And we had a great time there. And, the unique thing about the Royal Oak Invitational that a lot of people may not know is it's what we call like a guinea pig, where we don't get to bring our own meat. So we cook the meat that they give us, and we don't get to see it. We just go grab a bag, and what's in it is what you cook. And so, we're cooking. Well, some people might be cooking meat that they're used to. Like if they cook Compart Duroc all year, that's what we got this year for pork and ribs. So those Compart cookers, they were happy about that. And we get a Snake River Farms Black. I mean, I cook the big golds. There's a big difference, but you can deal with that. And then chicken is a different brand. So it really tests your skills, your patience, your ability to organize and prepare and plan. Because like I'll tell you, that Friday, and again, Paul knows what I'm talking about. That Friday was an action-packed Friday. I mean, when they sent the schedule and the agenda out for that, all of us guys that do this every single weekend, we're like, oh man, I got to fit my trimming in, and then I got to get, prep in. I got to make my injections. I got to, blah, 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 blah. I got to go eat, and we got to go introduce everybody. So you're running and gunning all the time. So when you actually get to start cooking on Friday night, you're kind of relieved because now you're kind of, you slowed down a little bit. Now you get to get in your groove. And, I was running solo. My wife flew home and you make do with what you got. I mean, I got 3 slabs of ribs, and actually one of them, I just couldn't even cook. It was too thin. So I actually only cooked 2 slabs of ribs. Wow. You do what you do. And I was fortunate enough to get some good calls, and, it was kind of a theatrical play out with the Wild Child, because we do a, we do a $100 pay in, and it's all 5. So it's the 4 categories and the overall for 11th. And I didn't get a chicken call, and then they announced the Wild Child, and that was me 11th. So I had all the money in my pocket. So I just took it out of my right pocket and put it in my left pocket. And, so then they went through ribs, and I didn't get a rib call, and they said Wild Child Fergolicious again. And then I got booed. All my friends were booing me, even though I have nothing to do with that. But from if you're in the audience and you're paying attention and you're doing the math on calls, I've got 2 11ths. And then I was fortunate enough to follow that up with pork, first place pork with a 180. So, I was at that point, I knew I was in the game, and then finished it out with a 3rd place brisket, actually a 3-way tie for first. So there's some fantastic teams there from all over the country. I was fortunate enough to win that contest, and very grateful for that. And I can't say enough good things about it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he walked away from that contest. In my part of the world, we call his pockets were swole. He hit all the jackpots you could hit during that contest. So
yeah, up here they call that your pockets are fat.
Yeah, I tell you, that Royal Oak is a really cool deal, and I'm really fortunate to be able to do a couple of those. And a couple of takeaways that I had on that contest is that the philosophy of Royal Oak and sustainability and where they're bringing their wood from, and it is a passion of theirs, and it comes out when you listen to them talk about it, and which works great. I mean, that's something that we have to look at, and especially as all these other brands and all these charcoals that are coming online that are not thinking in that same way. It's important. I thought it was important to me to hear that, and I thought it's pretty interesting. And the other thing is the interaction. You get to interact with the staff of Royal Oak from the headquarters, and they're very curious about barbecue and what we do, and they think it's amazing of what we do week in, week out. And then we were close enough to the grazing table, so at the end of the contest, they asked you to bring all your leftovers, and I was kind of like Fergolicious, so we just cooked 2 racks of ribs because the other one just didn't quite make it, and so it wasn't a whole bunch you could put out there, but what you did put out there, I can't tell you how many times I heard people say this is the absolute best barbecue they've ever had. And I just heard it over and over and over again at that grazing table. So we got to not only share what we do, but also got to share a little bit about the taste. So they get a little taste of what our world of what barbecue is supposed to taste like. And I was talking to one of them, and I said, hey, yeah, come to a real contest where we get to bring our own meat, and then you'll really get some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the executives are out there, Scott and our CEO, they're all out there hanging out with us, eating, having adult beverages, having a good time, walking around. And it's just, and the biggest thing about, I think, why that brand keeps going forward is they listen to the pit masters, people like Paul and myself and all the other pit masters that have feedback for how to move that brand forward. They listen. They understand that we're the people out in the field doing that and using that product. And of course you can't go without mentioning Craig, Barbecue Ninja. I mean, once they put him in that space, man, he's thriving. He was the perfect guy for that job. And he's a perfect liaison between the office and all of us, and just does a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, they're great people. We've been blessed to be sponsored by them. Didn't get to go to the Royal Oak, but we were out in Arkansas. But great people, and very blessed with that. And they've done a lot for barbecue for us over the years, and really appreciate everything they've done. It's been great. Mm-hmm. One other thing here about the Royal Oak is y'all were doing not just barbecue. Y'all had sides on Friday. It was not just barbecue. Y'all had everything else to do in addition to that.
You had steak as well. So that's what it's about, that schedule, man. You got your meat, like, I don't know, what time we get our meat? 10 o'clock?
It was 11 or 11:30. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you started there. You had to trim your meat. You had, like I said, you had introductions. You had steak selection at 2 o'clock, I think. You had turn-ins for steak at 4. You had to turn in extra steaks to cook for the potluck at 5, and your side dishes. And I can't remember when the awards were at. They were a little bit like 7 or 8 or something like that. And yeah, I mean, it was, but it's fun though. I mean, it keeps you hopping, but I don't know if Fergie did it by himself. I mean, I had Lynn going and doing meat selection, and, for steak, and she's coming back and helping getting all that steak stuff going where we're trying to prep meat in there. And, but like you said, I like it, the fact that it really does challenge you, because it's brands that you may not be cooking. It's qualities that maybe you're not picking through a whole bunch of meat. You got to cook what you got, make the best of it. And I think it really challenges the skill set of everybody out there. And so that's fun to me. That's fun to me. So.
Yeah. And in between all that stuff you just mentioned, we're trimming and prepping and making our boxes. And the nice thing is that they started everything kind of early. So we kind of got a head start. And so we'd go pick that stuff up, come back. I'd start building boxes, and then I'd leave and go, and you're banging things out fast, and trying to, move so you can kind of stay ahead of the game. But Paul hit the nail right on the head, man. It does definitely challenge you. And I think that was one of the things they were always looking for in this contest was, to have one of the biggest prize pool, but also to have all of those pit masters prove why they're the top of their game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in that contest that other organizations could be looking at, or other contests. You've got kind of this wild card thing going here with the meat selection portion. You got public sampling going on. At the other time, and at the same time, you've got multiple demos going for the office workers that I didn't get a chance to look at, but I know Craig was doing some alligator demo, and I think three taxi guys were doing some things there as well. So to me, that's kind of a model to look at of how to get some interaction going among a whole bunch of different groups all at the same place.
Yeah, one of the things kind of reminds me a little bit like, I think it was 2018, went to the Sunnies down in Florida, and they had some of that going on with the Sunnies. The other thing they had in the Sunnies that was wild is they would have a poker chip, and it would randomize the turn-ins. So it wasn't chicken.
Oh, I heard about that. That's right. It shook it up, didn't it? Like your ribs maybe first. Yeah.
Oh my God.
that was messing up your head down there, because you're sitting there, you're used to this, and this, and even though we changed timelines, we just basically changed our clock back. So in our head, we're still on the same timeline.
Wow.
But on that contest, I can't remember what it wasn't chicken first. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been pork first. But it was just really screwy as far as getting everything in your head to come off, and when
really
you
throws you off.
yeah. So
please don't suggest that, Fergie. Please do not suggest that.
Well, I'm no longer on the board, so you don't have to worry about me.
Okay, I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I can handle adding that to it.
I did my 3 years.
That would be wild. Showing the contest, and every contest cooks meat, and they pull out an order. That would be just insane. But yeah. So Mike, let's talk to you a second here. So
Sure.
Tell me about how you come up with y'all's name.
You know, it's kind of funny. We in 2010, when we were putting together as a team, you know, it was actually my wife. We were throwing out names and all that, and we were going over the things that we liked. So we happened to like that adult beverage, and then we like barbecue. But the biggest thing, the funniest thing is, it shocks people because they come up on our trailer, and it's me, a middle-aged man, and my 75-year-old father sitting there, and they're going, I don't think it's who they expected to be sitting there when we put in the entry or when we showed up and everything. So we have a lot of fun with it, and but my wife, we put together a nice logo and some things, and it's probably like what everybody else, we have shirts and we do all the things. We may not be a large team, but we have a large time. And I think the name kind of goes with what we are. We enjoy cooking. We like to enjoy ourselves. We like to have fun while we're doing it. And I think that's what it's all about, is getting together as a family and having a good time. And man, and like you're saying, it's barbecue church. You get together with all your friends and everything else. And I can't imagine a more relaxed, even though we're all in competition with each other and having fun, but I can't imagine a more relaxed and kind of fun environment to be hanging out with your family or hanging out with your friends. And we all kind of know each other, and we always share and everything else. So, and that's kind of, that I think the name kind of fits the culture of what we do and everything else. So
you like beer then?
Yeah, a little bit. But, not too much, not so much that we can't cook, but at the same time we enjoy having our beverages, and and so we'll have a good time as a team and everything. But our wives are just involved and as active and having as fun, and neither one of them drink anything, so they keep us straight and make sure that we're getting everything turned in time and everything else. And and then when it's game time, we're just not quite as active on the name as we are in other times.
I'm not judging. I love beer too.
Hey,
so does my wife. So
well, one of my favorite times of a day, and you guys probably can relate to it, or you may not be able to, but it's in that early morning when I'm sitting there with my dad, and we've just started the fire, and we're throwing some sticks in there and getting everything started, and we're just sitting there and enjoying everything. And we'll have our coffee, and we'll do our coffee, and eventually he goes, hey, how about a Bloody Mary? And then about 5 o'clock, we might have us a nice Bloody Mary and get ready for the rest of the day. But, it's really that quiet in between that 3 o'clock and that 6 or 7 o'clock when everything kind of starts going crazy, that is probably one of my favorite times of a contest. It's just me and him sitting there talking, and having an opportunity to just catch up in each other and enjoy each other's company. So, that's a lot what this means to me also. So that's why it's a fun family event.
I'll agree. I always try to make it out to watch the sunrise.
Yeah, it's nothing like that, is it?
Yeah.
When you're cooking something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, cooking with your dad, and I think that's awesome.
It's a lot of fun, and I've taken, I feel like we've taken full advantage of it, and we're hoping we can continue it on. We may not do as many events as we have in the past together, but at the same time, I know he's always going to be there in some capacity with me and hanging out and helping out and everything else. So we're still always going to have some fun together.
That's awesome.
He's not done yet.
No. Enjoy it. Enjoy as much as you can.
You bet. We are.
Totally do that. All right. So, Paul, let's go to Rooters-n-Tooters next. So tell us how you got your team name. I'm really curious about this one.
We actually, when we started in the backyard, we actually had a different name. It was Big Boy Barbecue. And I kind of saw after our first backyard contest that I'm not quite as big as some of the other big boys in barbecue. So I thought, that name might not be too appropriate as they were a good bit bigger than me. And so we were, I think we did one more contest under that name. And then we started thinking, well, maybe we all should have a different name. And it was actually Lynn who came up with it. And we were sitting around watching a movie, and I believe it was Friday. And they had made the quote that it was good from the rooters to the tutor. And she goes, well, there's our name right there, Rooters-n-Tooters. So that's how it came to be. And we just took it and ran with it.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's good.
Great
That was a good one. Richard, how'd you get your name?
Well, if you guys follow me on Facebook, you probably saw my rant last week about my name and how to spell it. And because after the Royal Oak Invitational, all the teams there were tagging me, saying congrats or whatever, but they were tagging the wrong Fergolicious. There's a Fergolicious out there in Texas. It's like a catering service.
Oh, no.
And they spell it with an A.
Oh, no.
Fergolicious, because their name is Ferguson. And our name is Fergola with an O. So we are Fergolicious. But we got the name. My nickname's been Fergie since I was like 10 years old. And I always say I was Fergie before Fergie was, because I'm older than Stacy Ferguson. But our youngest son, he's a senior in high school now. When he was about 6 years old, we were just driving through the town we live in, and there was an empty restaurant. And just out of the back seat, he says to my wife and I, he's like, hey, Daddy, you should buy that place and call it Fergolicious BBQ. And my wife and I looked at each other like, first of all, how does he know what Fergolicious is? Because 6 years old, you don't know what that song is or anything. But I mean, that was it. I mean, that was it was a done deal. And we started making some generic stickers. And I had one of my former wrestlers that I coached. He was a graphic artist, make up a first logo, and we got shirts made, and we were off. We went, man. 2012 did our first contest and got a third place brisket call, and we thought we were the bee's knees, bro. I mean, we were walking on water. So, and it wasn't until we got the call to be on Barbecue Pitmasters when we changed our logo because we knew everybody in the world was going to see it. So, we kind of tightened that up a little bit and made it more marketable. So,
hey, you got a cool logo, got a cool team name too. That's pretty neat.
Thank you.
So going into the next part, kind of question I got is, how'd you get into barbecue, competition barbecue? How'd you get into it?
So I was a high school special education teacher for 21 years, and I was a high school and college wrestling coach for 18 years. Won a national championship as a college coach in 2006, and I thought I was going to be a wrestling coach for the rest of my life until I retired. And in 2011, I retired from coaching, and I was just ready to be done with it and spend more time at home. And obviously, fast forward, barbecue did not allow me to do that. But our kids were younger. Our kids were younger when I was coaching wrestling, and I was flying all over the country recruiting. And that kind of thing. But so I retired from coaching, and then I moved into administration, and I was leaving the school where we live here. I was going to a different district to be an administrator, and my colleagues bought me a seat to the CBJ class for KCBS to become a judge. And so me and my teammate at the time went and took the class, became CBJs, and went and judged our first contest in Cameron, Missouri. And we were just blown away by how cool it was. And then we went to a couple contests and just kind of walked around and saw all the big rigs and the smokers, and just thought this was the coolest thing on earth. And next thing you know, boom, we were like anybody else. We were watching, barbecue pit masters and, watching all these food shows and just became fans of the sport, if you will. And the rest was history, man. Did our first contest in my hometown of Topeka, Kansas in 2012, and got that one call and drank a lot of beer in the rain, and had no idea what we were doing. But we just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And the rest is history, man.
That first call was the most expensive thing you ever seen in your life.
I know, right? Because it was just like a prime brisket from Costco or something like that. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was flying by the seat of my pants. Just anything that I saw on TV, I was trying to emulate it. And as you look back on it, though, that's how we all learn. I mean, back then when I started, I don't know how many even barbecue classes were available. I've never taken a barbecue class, but I back then, I think Rod Gray might have been the only guy that was actually out there doing competition classes. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was kind of one of the beginners of doing that. And now there's a lot of them. So
I think Rod Gray was the first one. I think Warren County Choppers was the second one to really start doing it.
Yeah.
And then after that, it kind of got to be more and more people are doing it. And it's changed barbecue. It's totally changed barbecue in the last 6-7 years. It's been crazy what it's doing as far as the helping people save money. As crazy as it is, you save money by doing classes. You save money by kind of learning how to build a box or what you're looking for is technique and tenderness. It's definitely changed the world in that perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say the first class we took was with Johnny Trigg down in Louisiana. And that was just more entertaining than it was a class in some ways. It was just fun to be hanging around the guy and hearing all the stuff and all the stories and everything. So,
and he still does it.
Yeah, he does. And that just stokes that passion, but you go, wow, this is so cool. And we had a lot of fun at that class.
Yeah, he's got one coming up in Louisiana, I think.
Yeah, he does. He does one in Hammond every year.
Yep, sure does. I might go back just to hang out and hear it. We actually bought our cooker from Johnny. So,
really?
Wow.
One of his used ones.
Man, that's some mojo right there.
Well, you got to hear what he did though. He's the funniest guy in the world. And he goes, I call him up and I say, hey, we got caught in the rain like everybody. We changed stuff once you get caught in the rain and the snow, and we couldn't keep our cooker hot enough. And so I called Mr. Trigg and I said, well, what do you think about a Jambo and what should I do and this and that? And I said, well, I'm going to get on the list. He goes, well, do you want to wait 18 months? I said, yes. Well, that's all I can do. And he said, well, I've got one. I'm thinking, oh, he's going to give me a deal, right? $2,000 more and you can buy it brand new. But he's like, but you can have one right now. So anyway, that's my Johnny Trigg story. He's a great guy. We've always enjoyed cooking with him.
Trigg, wheeling and dealing right there.
Exactly was. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, he is a great dude. I've got to cook with him. So in the barbecue league, he was an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. We got our first grand. He sat beside me at Banjo BBQ. He told me before I won it, he said, you won this thing. And that was just insane.
Sweet. Yeah. That
was crazy. Just totally stuff, crazy nuts. Anyhow, Mike, so how did you get into cooking barbecue? I know you said you had your family and stuff changing, but what was the foundation to actually get into competition barbecue?
I was fortunate. I mean, we were fortunate to have contests in our area when I was younger. So the mid 80s, I was watching my dad cook, and I got to go to Memphis in May in '87. I was probably, probably maybe 20 years old and going to see that nuts thing back then. And of course it wasn't as crazy as it is now. So, but going to be able to go there and with my dad and his team and all that and seeing that going on. But then, just watching barbecue pit masters, and I've always been a cook and always enjoyed cooking. And then my local area, the Roast and Boast, had a backyard competition. I think that's a great way for people to get into barbecue that just want to try out their own personal recipes, because we did our own personal recipes for a couple of years and hit, watched every YouTube video and finally hit and all that other stuff, but with a lot of our own stuff. And then once that happens, you can't stop the disease. I mean, you start buying better meats, you get better equipment to work with, you do all those things. So, I mean, we all accumulate stuff. And once you accumulate the stuff, well, you got to use it. And so, we don't get to cook quite as much as we'd like to. But at the same time, getting into it, I think one thing just leads to another. Like you guys are saying, once you get that first call, I mean, that adrenaline rush is going through you, especially if it comes early. I think you're just sitting there going, okay. And once that happens, I don't think you can, you can do anything but come back to another contest.
Mm-hmm. That's true. David, to answer your question, we got a question here from the live stream here. Fergalicious, I think you got a class coming up.
Yeah, you can. I've got three coming up. One in December, one in January, one in February. If you go to Fergolicious BBQ.com, all my classes are there. They're all going to be at our new Proud Souls Barbecue KC store here in Kansas City, Missouri. So, David, if you just go to my website, you can see all my classes right there.
And on that note here, in the descriptions in the YouTube channels here, I'll have everybody's links to their social media stuff here that you can find them from Facebook and different things. I'll have that so you can follow these people later on, these guests we've had on the show, to go through that. But taking a class I would say number one step. I would say that's number two step. Number one step I say is become a judge. Go take a judging class to get an idea of what it is, and then come out there and go take a barbecue class to understand of what some techniques are. And then the next one is just go out there and do it. Yep. But I would say a judging class and then a barbecue class would kind of help you. I mean, you'll save 5 years.
Oh yeah,
straight off the bat.
Yep.
Easily.
Totally save 5 years doing that. Paul, how did y'all get started in cooking? I know you talked about you started in the backyard, but what was the foundation before that?
I think I'm like a lot of other anybody who cooks, is that you kind of grow up around it, and you just kind of took a little bit to it when you were a little bit at a younger age, and that's pretty much was me. I liked cooking when I was a teenager, and always enjoyed it all the way up. And I actually just had a friend that kind of got us into it just by accident. So I used to do kind of a semi-professional bass fishing, and that's what I used to spend all my money on. Now I spend it all on barbecue, but I can't do them both. I can't afford to do both of them, but I used to run around the country doing that. And actually one of the guys that I used to run with, his brother was actually a chef, and he was I guess we're both a product of barbecue pitmasters, as quite a few teams are in a way. He saw it. He kind of got interested in it. He entered into a contest, actually won the first contest he entered. And they came back and was just hyping it up big time and was talking to me. And I was always the one around the camp. It was him and his brother that had went to that contest. And so at the campsites that we all used to run around all these different lakes all over the country, I was normally the one doing most of the cooking. And he said, "Hey, you ought to try it out. You like to cook and that kind of stuff." And so he said, "Hey, there's a show on TV you can watch, and it'll kind of show you what it's all about." And so I think I called it somewhere around the third episode, and I just got hooked right out of the gate, and I started researching it, and I end up, spending $40-$50, whatever it was, on making my own homemade drums. And this is before I ever heard of gateway or anything like that. And I mean, we were cooking low and slow on them. I was cooking on drums at 225 degrees, putting it on like at 10 o'clock at night, and and we did that for several years. But our very first contest was in Gadsden, Alabama, which is ironic since we're going there for the World Invitational with KCBS in a couple of weeks. We got 2 calls at our very first contest, and I mean, we were Beverly Hillbillies, man. I mean, we rolled in there with a borrowed pull behind single axle trailer with pop-up tents loaded on it, and we slept in the truck that night and just kind of hardcore camping. And but we loved it, and not only did I love it, but my wife loved it, and that was really what got us into it. There's one contributing factor that's really the reason why I'm still in it today is because of her. Most things we do, whether it be golf or different things like that, it seems like it's just you and your buddies kind of thing. It's not a lot of family type sporting events that you can do together. And our very first contest, we had so many people come up and introduce themselves and ask if we needed anything, any help with anything, any questions. And you just kind of you fall in love with the culture of barbecue right out of the gate. And that's what happened to us. And we did that for backyard for several years. And then even when we decided to do the Masters Series, we only did maybe 4 or 5 contests a year. And I guess about 5 years ago, we decided we just really wanted to do more of it and get more involved in it. And we just upped the number of contests. And here we are now. We're just running around everywhere and spending most of our weekends. And we have friends everywhere we go now. And so that's how we got involved in it. And that's how we kind of progressed to today. And I think it's one of the better decisions we've done, as a couple, for sure.
Yeah, I would say the family atmosphere, we come out to contests, the relationships we have with friends and stuff here. And me and my wife go a lot. She goes with me most of the time. Yeah, it's doing something with her, doing something together, because she don't go hunting. She don't really go fishing. I'm not sure I ever take her fishing again. Sorry, Michelle. That was a story for another time. But anyhow, no jokes aside, but the atmosphere and care of wife and care of our spouses and care of your kids and be part of it. I mean, that's just what it is. Even with your dad, I mean, that's hats off to you. I think that's where that shows the passion, the barbecue, the family of barbecue, the relationships with barbecue that has that. Nothing I've ever done can touch this. I mean, y'all may have had some other stuff, but it's never been the same as far as this. I know from a coaching perspective, Richard, when you're doing coaching, you create relationships with coaching that's going to probably be with you forever and stuff. But I think.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And I think taking that into the side for the barbecue family, you have relationships that be forever. I mean, people even don't cook no more. I still call them up and talk to them every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't you think too? I think, like, I know with cooking with my wife, she is everything I'm not. She's very meticulous, very precise, and she lays out the boxes and makes sure, I can get done with the meat. And I think on a team or in that aspect is finding someone that does the things that you may not necessarily be good at. And it just happens to be my wife that does that. And she does a great job with that. So, I mean, that's always, and she's also watching, so I had to make sure I said that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I think about it. I mean,
this right here is why I still get to barbecue, is because of her right here.
There you go.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I've been pretty blessed just to be fairly physically large and fairly agile. And I've played a lot of sports growing up, and I've had my days doing that competitive side of it and kind of eating and breathing, that sport. And, but she's really the competitive one. And for me, it's more about figuring out the puzzle. So I can help her with the competitive side, and she helps me with the puzzle side as well. And so it worked for both of us. We both get something out of it. And I think that's part of it.
That's cool.
I enjoy the process. I enjoy everything leading up to a contest, putting everything together, the cook component and all those other things. And if it doesn't go right, I'm still okay. I had a fun weekend, but yes, I know my wife is very competitive. She is the chicken queen. She will tell you that. And she does a very good job on that. But, for me, I enjoy the process. But it's nice to win occasionally too.
Yeah, definitely. It's not getting your name called. And we've said this before. It's crazy thing in the world, as competitive as we are, we still happy to get your name called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was talking to Jason Singletary talking about the Royal Oak Championship. We started out pretty strong, and so did Jason Singletary. And I'd already started trash talking him on the way back from the ribs. And because I thought it was getting ready to be a shootout between me and Jason. And to me, I absolutely love that. I love that when it gets down to two people and you're open enough to where you can I'm super happy. If he'd have won it, I'm super happy if Fergie won it. But if he'd have won it, it'd been great. But to be able to just, put the pressure on him and start trash talking him while during awards, I absolutely love that.
We were doing the same thing, me and Chicken and Grinning, because we were standing next to each other. So
that's right.
Yeah. We were doing and we were cooking next to each other too. So we were doing the same thing, So yeah.
Yeah, because y'all come in on the end there, you're the ones that cleaned it up. Yeah. We petered out, and y'all just let us have a little bit of false hope, and then just come in and crush our dreams.
Hey, when you let out of the gate with a perfect, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. It's on now.
I was watching awards and all y'all was like, man, that was crazy. And getting two wild childs. I mean, I've said it before. I said I'd love to get 11th in all four categories. Usually it's pretty good.
Or
yeah,
yeah.
I have friends in barbecue world that don't get in. Paul's one of them. But Smitty,
I knew he was going to bring that up.
Yeah, but my boy Smitty from Loot and Booty, I got a great story. We were in Texas, and he wouldn't get in, and my wife was doing that, and he's like, I don't get 11th, and I'm like, Smitty, you could still get 11th, and you can still win the contest. I mean, you can still do that. And so my wife was collecting from everybody, and she came back and she said, I've got, I think it was like $580 or whatever, and he goes, so am I the only one not in it to make it 600? And she goes, yep. And he goes, okay, fine, put me in it. And so we paid his $20 to get in the Wild Child, and it was ribs. And we went to awards that night, and guess who wins the freaking Wild Child? And he was sitting right with us, and he's like, give me the money. And then my wife goes, give me my 20 back.
Yeah.
And but no, it's that's another side of things to kind of just have fun with, and that little side bet, it's interesting. And you guys caught me off guard out there because I thought it was 11th there too, but you guys did out of the pay, where we do it out of the call usually. So when they were going down and they said 6th place, and then they said Wild Child, I was like, oh, okay, we're not doing 11th, because what was the first day? Chicken?
Yes.
Oh wait, no, I got 11th in chicken on day 2. So never mind. That story was not as cool.
I don't know. We just started doing it like one out of the pay. And I think I don't know why we started doing it that way. It happened that way. And this way it's been going on out here.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for it. I got 6th place ribs day 2. So I didn't know what category it was. So I turned the stud box in because we picked the first day at your site. The category is at your site for the 922.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of my timeline wasn't working right on Sunday. So anyhow, I couldn't make it over there. As I turned a box into them and said, what category? I said, I haven't drawn a category. So they drew a category. So I didn't know the category. And then they called me back up there. I was like, oh, this is cool. But I didn't have a clue what category it was.
Oh, I thought you were the one that drew them.
I did not draw the category on neither day. Somebody else drew on day 1, but I had that in their pocket. No, Alan drew it on day 1. The rep did at the 922 area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because he was there with the clock, and then they pulled up on the judging at the reps thing. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. But it was cool to have it. I was happy for it.
I just think the Wild Child adds a nice little another piece to barbecue contest and shakes it up a little bit and makes it fun. And it's but when Noel brought up the freaking $100,000 raffle ticket, I was like, take all my money. I was like, take all of it. I'm like, where do I pay for that at? And then the next day I was like, did they draw for that somewhere at somebody's like baseball game or football game or something? And he came by the trailer and I go, I guess I didn't win. And he said, well, they drew your name, but they didn't know how to say your last name. So they went to the next name. I was like, dang.
They sent it to Texas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That'd be pretty cool. By the way, Paul, you hear that about a wild child? He's saying it's fun to be part of it.
Dang.
I've had people buy my wild child. They'll come up to me. Did you go in for wild child? No. Can I buy it? Yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm carried about it. Heartbeat.
Go for it.
Some people will do that too. I mean, like Joe Pierce, he doesn't get in and people will buy him in. And I don't know if Brad, I don't think Brad does either, but people will buy Brad in, and Kelly Wirtz won't get in either. But so that in this area, that happens a lot. People will buy other dudes in, you know? So yeah, that does happen a lot.
Yeah. I just think I think one day you're not going to get in and that pot's going to be big enough and you can get your name called, Paul, and you're going to be of your own and be like, I should have got in.
It happened to him last year at Royal Oak twice.
Thank.
I mean, just saying.
Good fun me.
Fun me page.
I can't live that one down. It just haunts me forever. I mean,
Oh, man.
That's crazy. That's pretty nuts. Paul, I got a question for you. Do you still got your bass boat?
yes,
When's the last time you took yours out?
a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
I got mine out. I had to spend about $400 to get carburetors run so I can get back to running. And my nephew took it out. I still hadn't taken it out. It's been probably about 2.5 years. I need to sell it. I hate to sell it.
That's where I am. I'm like, man, I need to sell it. And every time I mention it, Lynn will go, well, no, you don't need to sell it. I'm like, well, I'm not using it, but yeah.
But one day I'll go use it.
You'll have to have everything reworked on it by the time you use it. Everything will dry rot.
Yeah.
I know, really. It's crazy. We used to go offshore fishing. I used to have an offshore boat. And I got out of that and kind of got into barbecue. This is cheaper than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a surprisingly more expensive hobby than what we're in.
Yeah.
Probably not many, but.
And the weather's a big factor in that one, too. You get out there and you're in the ocean, you can't see land, and you're like, dang, I hope that battery don't die. That was a little bit fun. But, see, yeah, I think it's cool. And I think the passion of barbecue, the family, the atmospheres that we have here, and sharing the ups and downs. I mean, even though, like Richard was saying, he wanted to get better this weekend for moving up points. But the thing I loved about this weekend is we had some new teams on day 2. Some new teams out there that haven't gotten their calls. One got a GC, and kind of encouraging them to come back out there. They're going to sit back out there and cook next year. And I think that's the thing that as a group we always got to kind of just remember is new blood needs to know they can compete and do it. If not, we're not going to have a sport no more, or a hobby, whatever you want to call this. And I was really excited about them. I know Henry got his first call, his first GC, and I was just over the moon.
He had a great season for first year.
He did. I mean, Chris with Touch of Grace, man, he was on fire there till right there at the end. I thought he had it till he got reserved. I was like, wow. But I was really happy for them. So where y'all cooking next?
Well, I'm like I said, I'm in Chicago this weekend for Saluting with Smoke, coaching Team Army. They are going to have a 1 meat rib contest there for us to cook too. So I get to cook that and then coach them on Saturday and then fly back on Sunday and then leave next Wednesday for Gadsden, Alabama to go down and cook the World Open and the World Invitational, man, and then call it quits for about 3 months.
Paul, how about you?
Yeah, we're off this weekend, and we'll be at the Invitationals there in 2 weeks. And then the weekend after that, we'll be doing the Atlanta Barbecue Store contest there in Cummings, Georgia. So then that'll be the last one for us for a while.
Yeah, they still got some spots open in that contest. If you want to sign up a really good contest and you get online and sign up fast, backyard and pro. But they're doing a really good job with that contest. Brian and Ellens are doing an awesome job with that. Great people. But yeah, sign up for that contest. But then you've also doing the class they're doing in the Land Barbecue Store class. Was it December?
It's in January. It'll be in January. I think it's the third weekend in January, I believe. On that, yeah. I mean, that's going to be a pretty fun class. I enjoy doing them, especially in this format where you have all the different teams doing it. And when you start looking at who's actually going to be there, that's going to be I'll be taking notes myself. They're doing that, and but then you're adding in a GBA component as well. I'm doing a class on pork loin, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's pretty cool. Mr. Mike, how about you?
We have talked about trying to get down to Biloxi coming up here pretty soon this weekend, but I don't know if we can turn everything around. If not, maybe Demopolis to end up the year if they're still doing theirs. And then the cold weather is not our friend sometimes, so it may be time to shut it down until about February or March of next year after that. Maybe do some chili cooks or something else during that time period.
Yeah, I think, Justin, aren't you going down to Cummins, Georgia, too?
Yep. So we'll be doing the Open next weekend, and then we'll be heading down to ABS Classic as well. That'll be the end of our season. If I don't get sick again.
Yeah, Justin's supposed to be there Shelby Day, too, but he was there.
I showed up about 7 o'clock Saturday night and then puked my guts out in the trash can in the trailer and then literally packed everything back into the trailer and drove back to Charlotte after driving 3 hours from another contest in South Carolina. And I'm just today starting to feel better. So, yep. Shortest contest of the year, 3 hours. Actually, John Wade just messaged me and was like, dude, I was going to bed and I saw you getting set up. And then I woke up in the morning and there was nothing but a pan of coals on the ground because I had just emptied out the 270 and wet the coals and I left the tray on the ground for Noel to clean up. So he said, you just left a tray of wet coals on the ground. You weren't even there in the morning. I was like, yep, sorry. I thought about it for about 10 minutes and said, maybe I can just push through it. And then second time I got sick, I was like, no, I'm not. If I am contagious, I am not starting an outbreak at a barbecue contest. That will ban me for the rest of my life.
Nah, man, I'm glad you're feeling better. Glad you're feeling better. Man, I totally understand that. So we're going to have to give a shout out to some people here. Chris Fulmer, didn't he win this past weekend? Was it Chris Fulmer that won the South Carolina SCBA? Or was it last weekend he won?
That was last weekend. This weekend, Jamie Mintz and Captain Smokers cleaned up pretty good. I think they won the anything butts and they won pork and they also got a rib call as well. So they were definitely, that's contest. They didn't do a grand champion, but if you wanted to claim grand champion, they were grand champion for sure.
They done good out there.
It was a fun contest. They had bands and all kinds of stuff, and the weather was perfect. I got a speeding ticket on the way from Barney Fife in the smallest town you could ever imagine in South Carolina. So it was one of those weekends I probably should have stayed home, but everybody goes through those in contest seasons. It happens.
That's why we remember the fun trips like that. And we got to give a shout out to Janky Leg Jordan up here. They totally cleaned house.
Big Show. Days. I texted him, told him I was going to start calling him Big Show because that boy, when those big checks start showing up, when you start seeing those big 5-digit numbers and stuff on those checks, that's when old Janky shows up. Start calling him Big Show Janky.
And he went from like 12th in the team of the year standings to 5th. I mean, just
in
like
one
that.
weekend.
Yeah, and he was he was one I was worried about too, man. I was like, if he has a good weekend out there at BBQ, he's going to make a big jump. And Brad too, because Brad was right below me, and they both went 1-2, 1-2, and jumped me. And I'm out in Shelby just scoring nothing.
That They jumped. That's a dang sure. Then both of them boys jumped. I mean,
they did.
I mean, for Brad, you got to take a hat off to the man. He can flat out show up and cook contests. For not chasing points, he sure did finish pretty good this year.
Yep.
Speaking of that, both of y'all two, Rooters-n-Tooters and Fergolicious, Team of Year points. Both of you done very well. Congratulations to y'all on that. Both of you had a heck of a season. Put a lot of contests in the books. So where'd y'all finish up at? Richard, you go first.
If we finished up 10th overall, so that's our second time finishing in the top 10 in toy, and finished 5th overall, or finished 5th in brisket, and I think 17th in ribs, and then I think in chicken and pork I was like 32 or something like that in those two categories. So finishing in the top, I wanted to finish in the top 5. I was hoping to have a lightning strike twice. In Shelby, it just, it didn't go my way. So I'm grateful to finish in the top 10 for a second time in my career. And, now I move on to 23.
That's it. Congratulations. That's a good job. And top 10 and the level of field we at competing today is nothing to be ashamed of. It's dang great.
Thank you.
I'd love to be there myself, but I'm not there. That is awesome. Paula, how about y'all? How'd you and Lynn do?
I'm a little fuzzy on the rankings, but I believe we finished overall. I think we finished 4th, and we were 1st in chicken. We did that at Shelby. So we Triple H, myself and Triple H, we've been going back and forth all year, and he almost pulled it out. I think he got a 3rd the second day, and I didn't know if I was going to still hang on to it or not, but I held on to it. For chicken, and then I think we finished 8th in ribs, 4th maybe in pork, and then 1st in brisket.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, we're proud of the brisket one. So that's 2 out of 3 years being 1st in brisket. So that's something to hang our hat on. Something we were proud of at the end of the year. We couldn't be at the top. We couldn't track Urkel down. We knew that going into Shelby that we weren't going to be able to touch Urkel and Uncle Pig's group there. And so we kind of was really focusing on those individual categories and really just got lucky that first day. The 2 calls that we needed, we got it the very first day. And the guys out there in Missouri, they didn't quite get the high enough calls they needed to come back. That's what's crazy. You have all, where you're looking at most of the guys at the top are cooking, 35 contests or so. And except for, I think Smoke Me Silly probably had the best average. I think they only cooked like 24 contests or so, and they were still up there. And, but all throughout the whole year, you're just kind of going back and forth, and it literally comes down to the last weekend of the year to decide some of these things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I only did 27 this year.
Yeah, to me, those are the teams to me that I find more intriguing, is the ones that don't have to cook near as much and still are competitively in that top 10.
Yeah, that's consistency is, like I said, we never got it this year. And Richard, what you done with just 27 contests is truly amazing, truly awesome. I mean, congratulations to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Outstanding.
Another side note here, we're kind of getting a little bit on our timeline, but another side note right here. Richard, you were on a TV show.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about kind of that, and then we'll kind of close it out with kind of talk about our sponsors stuff here. But talk about the TV show and how it's impacted your barbecue family and your barbecue outlook and goals. Is that?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to be on Food Network's Barbecue USA this year with Michael Simon, and this is the 3rd show Fergalicious has been on. We were on Barbecue Pit Masters, Chopped Grill Masters, and then this one. So we've been on a show since 2014, just about every 3 or 4 years. But this show, I'll tell you, this one was different. This one was, I'm sure everybody on here watched that season. And Michael Simon was just dynamite. I mean, the guy, he knows barbecue. He knows what he's talking about. He was just easy to work with. The whole crew was easy to work with. Simple Alien is the name of the production company, and they were just all fantastic. They didn't make anybody feel uncomfortable. We were kind of used to having cameras in the trailer with being original members of the Barbecue League, where we were filming stuff all the time. So that's probably the most asked question I get is, did it throw me off of my cook and all that stuff? But I just thought they produced a great television show for the public to watch that doesn't know much about competition barbecue, and to get to see different governing bodies like GBA and KCBS and what they do in Texas. And then they get to see Memphis in May. So they get to see a little MDN. They got to see kind of the whole spectrum of competition barbecue in 6 episodes, and really got to get an inside look of what we all do week in and week out, in real time. The original Barbecue Pitmasters was probably the closest thing to that. But to have Michael Simon as a host standing there kind of relaying that to the audience and kind of connecting the audience with us, it was just fantastic. I thought they did a great job. It's really, all these shows have really helped our brand, Fergalicious, with our rubs and our classes. And, but like Paul was saying earlier, and I totally agree with him, the barbecue family and just them getting to see that, we do our 922 shot everywhere we go. And that's my favorite time at a contest is that camaraderie. And one of the things I try to do is high five everybody that comes to that shot and tell them good luck. And I just get so jacked up during that time. I'm so excited. And they captured all that, and so the general public and people worldwide got to see that. And I'm probably a little biased. I think it's one of the greatest barbecue shows they've put out to date. And it just does so much for the sport too. Just, it gets people fired up, and they make runs in the barbecue stores and they're buying rubs. They want to try to emulate everything they see on TV, just like we did when we were back starting, so it just keeps the cycle going and gets more people involved in the sport. And that's what I'm all about. The more people that get involved in barbecue, that makes me happy. You know what I mean? So I just love seeing that.
That's good.
No, I think you've done a great job of sharing the passion about barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, let's, I know we kind of get into the hour mark. I know other people got stuff to do. I know Paul's probably going through kind of jitters right now. I'm not having trimmed chicken tonight.
It has been different. I think this is the first time, and Lynn can tell you, but I think it's probably been 4 months in a row we were going every single weekend. So it does feel really weird not to be doing something right now.
Yeah.
But I will say I get to sit at home and watch football Saturday. So that's definitely a plus instead of catching glimpses of scores or recording it and coming home and watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Clemson Notre Dame game. That will be a good one this weekend. I hope so anyhow. But sponsors, Mr. Mike, you got any sponsors or anybody you want to kind of say a thank you to the supporting you, family and stuff?
Yeah, of course, the family. Thank you in supporting us. Over the years, our sponsorship is pretty much us, and the family putting our money together and paying for everything. So if anybody wants to sponsor, though, we are available if you want to do that. But no, I thank you for having me on the show. I've really enjoyed it, especially with these 2 outstanding pit masters right here. I don't know if I feel worthy, but it's very nice to be on the same show with all of you guys. So thank you again.
Hey man, you won the contest, you GC. That's never easy. Take that and be happy for it.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Totally be happy for that. Richard, about yourself?
Yeah, I'm also thankful for my family and Royal Oak Charcoal and Prairie Fresh and Green Mountain Grills, Meyer Mixon Smokers, Victorinox Knives, Smoky Mountain Smoker Cutting Boards, Proud Souls. Proud Souls is my new crew. So I roll with those guys now, and we'll be opening up a new store in Kansas City here next month, hopefully. So I can't thank all those people enough. They allow me to do what I love to do every weekend. If I didn't have those people, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. Anella at Snake River Farms. Those people make our world go round.
It's a great group of people. The family's unreal. Paul, about yourself?
Yeah, man, we've got a few. Atlanta Barbecue Store has definitely been a big part of our year and last year as well. Not only in just product, but also just support and friendship and just encouragement. It takes a little bit of that to get through some of those humps, and it's nice to have that outside support. And they're definitely one of our biggest fans, and we appreciate that greatly. Southern Q Smokers has been with me for many years, and I'm one of the few water cooker guys out there besides Fergie. It was actually odd to see another water smoker there at a contest. Normally, I'm there by myself, and everybody else is cooking on something else. And without a doubt, Royal Oak Charcoal, they've always been a big supporter of Rooters-n-Tooters, and we're a big fan of theirs as well.
Cool.
Very cool.
Justin, how about yourself up there?
We have been proud to be members of the Deadbird Barbecue DB180 team this year. They have helped us out a bunch, both on the steak side and the barbecue side, as well as Steak Princess Barbecue. Have really enjoyed using their products, as well as hanging out with her and her family at a couple contests now this season. And our local honey sponsor, Herb's Honey, this will be their second year helping us out. A couple weeks ago, went out to grab a couple more jars of honey from Mr. Herb. He is a old competitor from 10 years ago, and he reached in his wallet and got $100 bill out and said, "Here's some gas money." So you can't get better than that for a sponsor. I tried to give it back to him, and he wasn't going to take it. So he said, "I think he said, well, if I'm gonna help you out, I'm gonna help you out." I said, "Man, that'll go right in the tank, man. Thank you, appreciate it." So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Cosmos and Blue Sog too. I left them off that list. Sorry about that.
And I left out my boy Chris Schaefer at Heavy Smoke. His black label is really my brisket game. We've been using for a couple of years now. So big shout to him for helping me out a little bit with that as well.
Yeah, Chris done awesome down at the Jack too.
Mhm.
Another one of the teams that done really well. Shows up for the big money contest and done a really good job. Great guy, great family. Him and his dad is awesome too.
Oh, Pop.
That's cool.
Pops.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got sponsors also. Atlanta Barbecue Store's been a great sponsor, supportive of this, been supportive of the YouTube channel, the show. Royal Oak, RecTech, and Rufus Teague, been with me for years. Great sponsors of that, and ThermalWorks. But the thing about this is for the barbecue, everybody in here has been sharing one thing. We share a passion for barbecue. We've talked about how good the families are. We talked about how good relationships are. And when you come at the contest, I promise you, we will support you and help you do better. We want you to do better. We want you to come out there and cook every time. So that's something to say. Come out there and meet us, talk to us. On Saturdays, on turn-ins between 10 and 1:30, we might say come back later. But other than that, I promise you, we will be more than happy to talk to you all we can. Lady asked me this weekend, said, "Why we do this?" I said, "Because we got a bunch of A-personality people that love to hang out and have a good time. And if you carry them camping, they kill each other. So we come out and do a barbecue competition so we can focus on one thing and then enjoy it together." That's why we do this, because we love the people, we love the family, and we want to beat every one of them. But if we don't, we're happy for it. That's just a fact. But thank y'all for watching the show. Appreciate it. We got a great group of guests. Follow these. All their information will be in the information on YouTube channel and Facebook and stuff here. The links to their pages, to their stuff for information. Again, thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next week. See you next time.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.